Good morning. Welcome back to my channel. This is Martha, and this channel is Preparing for Retirement, where we walk through the process that I'm taking in preparing for my retirement. I will be retiring in January of 2026, and we will begin the process of moving overseas. Our plan is to slow travel, and so this channel is about sharing tips, tricks, and things that I've learned along the way. I'm hoping to learn from the YouTube community here as well. So if you have any tips for me, especially on travel, please go ahead and leave them below. Today, I wanted to share a spreadsheet that I made that helps me to plan out destinations, plan a whole year, excuse me, and make sure that I'm staying in my budget. It helps me to be more realistic about, where I want to go during any given year. So I know that when you're actually incurring the expenses, there are wonderful apps for your phone or software for your computer. But this is for planning. And I love spreadsheets, so this is what I came up with. This is available for you if you want to have a copy for yourself. It will be in the show notes below. I've got it in my Google Drive and I'm making it available for public use. So I've already filled out some of the months here. Let's talk about how the front page actually displays data. So the first section here, average expenses. This is going to show you how you are running for the year, what your average is so far, and what you've planned out per month. So you can see with what I've already got planned out on the back sheet, we're at $3,400 per month. Over here, we've got our year-to-date budget right here in column L. And then we've got the costs that I have on the back sheet year-to-date and how much is remaining. I have these specific categories. If you want to change those and you're spreadsheet savvy, it's very, very easy to do. And then, of course, we have our two pie charts here that are displaying the percentages of where the money is going. So you can see if something is really taking up the lion's share of your costs, you might want to change your budget to match here. Lastly, to the bottom right, you can see where I have already planned out several months for destinations, and I've got something big going on in September. And I'll show you why we can afford to do that when our monthly budget is $4,000 a month. How can we spend $9,000 a month in September? So that's what we're trying to do here, is just to get an idea of what we can do in a year. And I like going by the month. However, I love going by the year, because when you're going by the year, if you save some money, say you go to Vietnam for 2 months, like I have in this example, you've saved enough money to be able to do something really extravagant, maybe a bucket list trip. Maybe you want to go to London or to Iceland, or you want to tour Scotland and Ireland. Those are much more expensive destinations. Maybe you want to go tour someplace in the United States. You could do that on that amount of money. So, so anyway, that's how I like looking at things, is an annual budget rather than a monthly budget. But the monthly budget does help us to stay, it's a guardrail system. It helps you to stay kind of reasonable here as to where you're going to be. So let's go back to the back sheet, and I will show you how this actually works. So you click on over to the month by destination sheet, and you can see that I've already budgeted for January. I'll be in Chiang Mai. I've looked up these amounts, so I can easily get rent for an apartment or a hotel room for $500 a month. And then travel, I've got my plane tickets, I've got my medical insurance, I've got a SIM card plan. This is a global annual plan that's offered by Arlo. It's right here, and it covers 136 countries, of which Australia, Thailand, Vietnam, it's all included in there. You've got a total of 20 gig. That's only when you're out and about walking. You're not going to be sitting in your hotel or, Airbnb using this up. But you've got a total of $69 for that. So, so we'll just be using one phone when we go out and about. So that's what I put in my budget. Okay, I've also got the cost of our own cell phone plan. T-Mobile has international services in the $50 plan that we have, so that's there. And then I've got the cost of groceries. I padded some Western food in there if we want to go out for a few nights. We mostly like local food when we travel, so that's padded. And the cost of eating out, you may think that our eating out costs are low. My husband and I only eat 2 meals a day. So if one of them especially is going to be at the hotel, or maybe just some fruit and yogurt out of the fridge, then of course we're only paying out 1 meal per day out. So, maybe a coffee or something for a treat. So it's really not that much. And then I've got a little bit of miscellaneous if we want to get some new t-shirts or something like that to wear around. Um, and then lastly, we've got our local transport. Again, planning on walking most of the time, but if we want to hop on the bus or if we want to get a grab, I just threw some money in there. So that's January. And then February and March, I've got Da Nang. And I've looked up reasonable amounts for these. You can go to Agoda, you can go to Airbnb, you can go to Facebook groups and see what things cost. So it's good information. I've got a relatively nice hotel here for $400. And then, of course, the flights to get there. I've got our insurance, SIM card, cell phone, those are every single month. And then groceries. I did put some groceries. I'm not sure we would be spending that much. I think that's probably high. It's probably more for a little bit of beer in the room for my husband, some yogurt, some fruit. And then our music dates, we like to go out and have a beer and listen to live music. And then eating out. Vietnam is incredibly affordable for local food. So you can easily get a meal for $1 a person. So I think that's rather extravagant. I've put a couple of Western meals in there. And then, of course, we've got our local transportation. And then here's the same listed out again for March. In this plan, in April, we head back to Australia. So we won't have any rent. We'll be staying with family. But I will be contributing to groceries and to food, to utilities with that. And then there's our SIM card, our phone. We've got our insurance down here. And then we've got some entertainment, some special dates we might want to go out, eating out. That would include family too, a couple times. And there's our flight from Asia. So just basically adding in, what we think that we would spend. Now, Australia is a bit more expensive, obviously, than Southeastern Asia, but Australia also is where we have families, so we can save on our housing costs. Now we look at May, and we are still in Australia. So we've got 2 months in Australia. Again, a little bit more expensive than if we'd stayed in Southeast Asia, but this is family. So we are saving on our housing costs and we get to see our family. Now I saw how inexpensive this was so far, and so I thought, I bet I can do a nice cruise for an entire month around Australia. And I went out and I found Princess Cruise Line has a cruise. It's on sale. So I went ahead and went through the process as if I were going to sign up on that, except that it's October. I got the date wrong, but I did the whole process, and you can see it's 28 days, so it's a whole month on the ship. I'd be going to Sydney, Newcastle, Melbourne, Adelaide, Albany. I mean, just all the great areas. And that would take care of our transportation, our entertainment, and our food. So we've got the total cost here. I grabbed it, $8,116. That's a lot of money. But because we've been in Asia for a good part, we have that. So here I have taken that $8,116 and I've split it up between travel, food, entertainment, and housing. So then I add in my insurance, my SIM card, and I do think I did not put the phone. So you would put another $50. And then I did give us another $1,000 for excursions. That all came to $9,000 here. So, that's a real luxury month for us. That's a big deal. However, we can afford this because um, we've been below budget for so many months above Chiang Mai, Da Nang. We've been below budget. So when we get back from that, we'll have to figure out where we're going to go from there. But if you look, now I'm continuing. I pulled that out in September, but last was May. So after May in Australia, we'll travel to Lombok, which is Indonesia. It's beautiful. So first thing I did was I went out on Airbnb and I found a fantastic Superhost deal. And this is a bungalow. You got a private room in a bungalow. It looks beautiful. It's right on the beach. Um, so that's 723. That just gave me an idea of what things cost. So I put 750. Okay, so I looked up the airfare on Google Flights. I just chose Sydney to Lombok, and I found a fare here that it was a 9-hour trip with one stop, $637. That's for the two of us. This is the way that Google Flights works. If you bring it down to one, you can see that it changes the amount. So I want to. And here we have a self-transfer. Looking at this flight, it's Sydney to, I am not even going to try, and then on to Lombok. Okay, so I went ahead and I entered that amount into my budget. I've got my health insurance, my SIM card, my phone. So now I start looking at groceries, how much I might want to spend on excursions and grab rides and things like that. So I tend to put groceries and eating out, both of them into food, not into entertainment, but you can do whatever you want to do. So how do I figure out how much I'll spend in groceries and eating out? Well, that's where Numbeo comes in. And I have put the link in the description below how to get to this site, but it's numbeo.com. And once in Numbeo, I pick a country, Indonesia, and then I picked a city near Lombok, which is Mataram. So looking at this, you can see that Lombok is very, very affordable. We've got meals in local restaurants, so you're eating where the locals eat, which is what we do. 95 cents is the norm. If you go to a middle range restaurant, maybe you're getting courses, it's nicer, or not nicer, that's not the right word. It is a more formal dining experience, not top tier, but pretty nice sit down restaurant. Then you're looking at two people eating for $11, which is very, very reasonable. So we would do that probably a couple times a month, not all the time. We've got the price of a beer in a restaurant. We've got the price of a coffee in a restaurant. So, I feel pretty good that I could figure out, one meal a day. There are going to be quite a few days that we're eating, the two of us, for $7 or less. If you say one meal, one beer, one coffee, whatever, I think we could do it for $10 or less easily. And then throw in a couple of these. And so I'll put $400 for meals. And then if I look at groceries, I'm not going to be getting a whole lot in that little bungalow. I don't even know if they have a refrigerator, but if they did, I would get yogurt, I would get some fruit. You can see fruit is extremely reasonable here. So I'm just going to be super cautious and pad it really well. And I'm going to say $75 a month. I don't think it would be that much. Actually, I'll say 100, and just know that my husband may want to have some beer in the room. So for food and groceries, I'm going to be really cautious. I'm going to say 450. And then excursions and tickets, you can go out and look and see online what there is to do around Lombok, and you'll be able to see prices for tickets, different things like that. In terms of excursions, you can look up on Numbeo how much the local transportation cost is. Um, to hop on one of the buses or tuk-tuks or anything like that, it's a 63 cents. So, that seems pretty low to me. So I always pad these things. I look at the taxi, 1 mile, 51 cents. So, mm, a normal 1 hour, asking them to wait $3. So it's very, very reasonable. The transportation is very reasonable here. So of course I wouldn't know the tickets. It would depend on what you want to do, but I'm just going to budget for now. And I'm going to budget, I don't know, $150 for different excursions and tickets and local, things like that. Actually, excuse me, I've got them broken out. So $100 for the excursions and tickets, and I'm going to put $50 for grab rides and tuk-tuks. We want to walk as much as we possibly can. And this whole thing is for us to just kind of meander and explore and see what we see and all that good stuff. So I'm not planning on a lot of local transport, but I can always adjust that if I need to. So now I go out to my monthly expense. And you can see I'm now at $3,300 a month average. And if you look over here, I finished June and I'm coming in at $2,500 in Lombok. And that includes the plane ride to get out there. Now, I do have for travel, I have $500 a month set aside for us. For travel, I count that as trains, buses, planes to get from one destination to another. So I'm not going to be doing that every single month, flying back and forth from Australia, or this budget here would be difficult. So what we're going to do since June, right here, we're $2,500. We got there. We got back to Asia. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to stay in Asia. So we're going to go to Kuala Lumpur, and I'm going to travel by train, by bus to get up to, well, there's going to have to be a ferry or something, right? But we're going to get up to Kuala Lumpur. So I'm just going to estimate that that's going to be $140 tops. I think it's going to be a whole lot less than that, but I need to look that up. I know I've seen bus rides from Kuala Lumpur up to, where was it in Thailand? I think it was Hua Hin or Bangkok, and the bus rides were only like $30. They're long, but they're $30. So I feel pretty confident that I could get from Indonesia to Kuala Lumpur, whether it's by train, by plane, by ferry and bus and all that. I really feel like I could do it for $140 for both of us. In fact, let's pad that. Let's just put it $200. Now I've got my SIM card. I've got my medical insurance monthly. Now, I want to kind of get a nice condo in the city center in Kuala Lumpur. It doesn't have to be a really big one. I just want to kind of be near to the markets and the malls and just different things like that, and just really, really experience the attractions that the city center has. So we're going to spend a little bit more for housing here. I'm going to put $1,200, which is crazy. It's crazy. That's going to get us something in a very luxurious building. All the utilities will be included, Wi-Fi will be included, everything will be included. Now, Kuala Lumpur, I will get some groceries, but I think, mainly it's going to be, again, just those breakfast foods. So I think we can do $75. And then I have looked up Kuala Lumpur and the price of food and thing like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put $500 for the month. And again, that's padded. We would mostly be eating inexpensively like the locals. In fact, let's just look it up. Let's go back out here to cost of living. We're going to go to Malaysia. And we're going to go to Kuala Lumpur. Oh, I misspelled that horribly. Okay, so we want it in US dollars. Change that. Okay. So meal at an inexpensive restaurant, $4.50. So the two of us could eat for $9 a meal. very easily. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that at the $500 because we will want to occasionally have a beer, have a coffee out, go and have a Western meal, something like that, and then $50 for the phone. Okay, so now we have planned out um, January through July, and we've also put our cruise in there for September. So we are now at 8 months. We'll go out and see how we're doing. We go out to the monthly expenses. You can see we're still hovering around $3,200 average per month. You can see our housing. That really went up with Kuala Lumpur. Put that up. Our travel costs are coming in a little bit higher, so I may need to look at uh, my budget over here. I've got 500 a month. I'm coming in at 700. Of course, that cruise is really throwing everything too. So, you want to think about that. But anyway, so $3,200 a month. I have 48,000 or $4,000 a month. So at 8 months, we still have $13,000 left over. Excuse me, we still have over $20,000 left over for 4 more months. So we're doing really, really well. So if we needed to, say, take a flight to Europe and, do a few months over there, we could afford to do that. We could afford to spend a little bit more. And you can see I've got my total by month. So that is Chiang Mai. These two are Vietnam. This is Australia, Australia. This is back up to Malaysia, Indonesia, Malaysia. I haven't planned out August yet, but I would have to come back down to Australia for that cruise. So you can see how this works. And I think this is going to be really helpful for us. I will probably use this sheet every year as I plan out the travel for the year. And I would just go out and continue. If I want to do August, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do August. Let's say from Kuala Lumpur, we're going to do, I don't know. Let's say we're going to do Siem Reap. I am going to butcher that. Housing and 350. I haven't looked these up, so I'm just going to estimate based on what I have seen YouTubers report. Let me just drag this. You can drag these down. You can't drag down the drop down buttons. But okay, Siem Reap, I'm going to do travel to get there from Kuala Lumpur. I'm just going to say 140. I haven't looked that up, but I'm estimating that would be the plane. Or I believe you can take a train there for a lot less. I would need to look that up. And you can do that actually. Let's show how you can do that. Here's another site, Rome to Rio. And we're going to go from Kuala Lumpur to Siem Reap. Okay. All right. So look at this. I can take a train that goes all the way up through and then ends with a bus. And that one would be, let's see, there's quite a range here. I guess it depends on which specific ticket you're buying, if you're buying economy or what you're doing. So I'm going to take the high end. Actually, I'm going to go middle of the road. I'm going to say about 75 for two people. So here we go. So 150. Okay. And then we're going to have our food, utilities, insurance. Okay. So this is going to be your $575, your SIM card. This is going to be $500, your IMG insurance. And then this is $50 for my phone plan. Okay, so food, I'm going to do food and going out, everything. CM Reap, again, I've looked this up before, is very, very affordable. So this is going to be groceries and eating out. I'm going to put 450. So that's how easy that is. August. August. All right. And then I'm going to go back to Australia. Oop, not September. August. I'm going to go back to um, Australia a little bit early, last part of the month, just to get a flight there. So let's see how much that's going to be. So we'll go from Cambodia to Sydney. Okay. And this is, you're looking at about, I'm going to do a halfway there. I mean, I could also do it here. I could do Siem Reap to Sydney in end of August. Okay, for two people, $848. Oh, we're still calculating. Okay, let's look. Oh, okay, that's not bad. 17 hours, $644 for two people. And I've got one layover at Ho Chi Minh City for 7 hours. That's kind of cool because you can go out and get a meal in Ho Chi Minh City and then go back to the airport. We're going to choose that one. 644. So 644, and that's the flight back to Sydney so I can get to my cruise. Okay, so now we've done all the way through September, and let's see where we're ending up. Look at that. Cambodia brought our average down as you would expect. And then our housing costs are coming down. We still have almost $20,000 left, and we only have 3 more months to plan, October, November, December, which means that we can do another special trip. We can do another bucket list item, or maybe we decide to come back to the United States, which is very expensive to do, and see family here. There's all kinds of things that you can do with this, but you can see by spending, um, our time in Asia, we've got plenty of padding so that we can do what I would consider to be a very extravagant trip around Sydney. We got it on sale, and I could see that as just being a fantastic experience. And we could even do excursions, which we usually don't do excursions. We could even pay for some excursions, and we have plenty of money left over to do that. We can also really have fun with our grandkids. I can add more money into the time in Australia with the kids. So right now, I've only got 300 for family activities. I could do 600 for family activities and really do some fun things with the kids. If I look, I'm still doing fine. I'm still at an average of $3,200 out of 4,000. So we're still looking really good. So again, this is a sheet that I think I know it'll have a lot of value for me. It may have value for you. If it does, the link is going to be in the description box below. Please feel free to download it, and you can change the categories. You just need to click in here. Actually, forget how I did that before. Um, well, you can click in, it's under data. Actually, it's under formatting, excuse me. You can go ahead and click in, and you can change the the categories, excuse me. The categories here, if you change them here, just be aware that you have to change them here and here and here. So they have to match, okay? And then whatever you have in here, it's going to populate these pie charts. So again, this is a sample of what I might consider for my year, and I still have to plan this out. So, this is just a sample of what you might be spending. Your expenses, of course, excuse me, your expenses, of course, will look very, very different than mine. So anyway, I hope that this was a blessing to you. I hope this is something that you can use, or at least maybe it spurs you on to create something for yourself, or to, get in that mindset of thinking about an annual cost versus just a monthly cost. Looking at an annual cost, it really opens up everything, and it gives you the ability to do those expensive locations that you felt like you would never be able to afford. My husband really wants to take a train ride up into the Alps in Switzerland. Normally, we would never be able to afford that. But if we did that in place of the cruise in September, for example, or if we did a couple more, say we go back to Vietnam for a couple months, we could do that in December. We could go to Switzerland at Christmas, and we could take that train ride, and we could have just a wonderful experience, and it wouldn't break the bank. It would not break our budget. So anyway, again, if this has been informative to you, if you've learned something from this, or if you appreciate the content, I would just ask you, would you mind giving me a like and subscribe to my channel? Well, there'll be a lot more information. I'm going to be sharing my net worth update soon. So in the meantime, have a wonderful day, and God bless.